And then here are the verses we don't typically hear. They haven't cleaned up these verses so much vocabulary-wise because they're typically not. Although I did want to share with you that I have a recording that has all these verses on it. It's back there. If anything, it's a folk song. Okay. So here's this last verse. So then I asked the students, after they had gone through the exercise, getting familiar with the Library of Congress, finding some primary sources and so on, to find some of this information. There is a manuscript collection of Woody Guthrie's on the Library of Congress site, and that's what really kind of prompted my doing this. So some questions for them to answer. And then ultimately to answer this question, describe one learning activity that you could have your students do in your classroom that is inspired by this song. And these were some of the students' responses that I thought were shows of thought. And inquiry is one of our focus areas planning lessons. A couple of other things, and I just selected from a variety of responses.
Yeah, I just think that if they know, it's the Dust Bowl, it's the Depression and stuff like that, and a lot of this was written, then the words make so much more sense.
So much more sense. And what I found, there are pictures taken at the time of the Dust Bowl. If you go on here, so this is one of the primary sources with some correspondence. Woody Guthrie, now this is in the 40s, Woody and early 50s. Woody Guthrie was corresponding with Alan Lomax. When I wrote my dissertation, I used a lot of the songs that Alan Lomax had collected. And he was an assistant in the folk song archives at the Library of Congress, which I found interesting. And there are several letters back and forth between the two of them. And some of the writing is quite interesting of Woody's. Not the best grammar and so on, but pretty humorous as well. I just got the copy of my songbook that you printed up. I got a carbon copy and about a third carbon of that, but it's pretty fair, so I guess that's all right. I just sort of wanted to write and say that it's about the neatest thing that ever had my name on it. I want to sort of thank you and Alan Lomax for copying it. This is to the Library of Congress. But you kept the original. I would like to kiss it goodbye while I'm at it. Is it handy there for congressmen and senators to come in and sing? I hope they bring their fiddles and guitars around and hit off a few of the most radical tunes. They are awful easy to sing, and you can sing them drunk or sober. It doesn't matter of personal choice. I tried them both ways. The senators, too, you can elect just about as good a one way or the other. I'd like for them to especially learn to sing number 56, looking for that New Deal now, and so on. But there are pictures, and there are several letters. There are pictures of the Dust Bowl. There's a picture of his house that Woody Guthrie grew up in. There are pictures of all these places along in the song. The Dust Bowl, and it tells, you click on the picture, it tells you a little bit about the Dust Bowl. There are lots of things that parallel the song and the places in the song and the travels that Woody Guthrie took. So anyway, this was kind of a personal interest thing for me, and I just wanted, it's a song, from a music standpoint, it's a song that most children learn at some point or ought to know, but it's interesting to know, too, some of the extra verses that have been added. And these are some of the other suggestions. I thought the adjectives idea was good because of the sparkling sands that are diamond desert, diamond desert. Why do we call it diamond desert? I sometimes have to pull lots of stuff to get the students to really think about where this comes from and where these descriptive words, why they are used. And then I asked them at the end, also note anything else that you, along the way that you think would be worth revisiting, that you could use for future lessons. So this was one. There was another one. So kind of in a nutshell. Oh, okay. This is one that, sorry, this is a late night thing. I thought this was good too. Students can graph the land used in their town, and they're into making maps right now for social studies. And so this is another thing. I just have always felt that song lends itself to questions? Some of these I'll have any of these if any of you would like to look at. And if I were doing this again, I don't know how you feel, but as I was putting this all together, I thought, I would do some things a little differently, and I think that's what we learned from an exercise like this, and having our students, how would we hone it and do it differently.